Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan here for a different kind of midweek Inside the Birds. We're, of course, going to give you tape review of the Eagles' 30-28 loss to the Ravens. But, man, we got a game on Thursday night, a short turnaround, and we're going to preview the Eagles versus the Giants. A real clash of titans there. Between
Untitans, yeah.
Yeah, two one-win teams each. So it's going to be just a big blast.
But you know what? Look, the Eagles thing is simply because they have all these injuries. And yes, Carson Wentz did not get off to a good start this season, no doubt. But now it's just a simple thing here. If they could just get some players back, and when you watch our show Thursday night, our pregame show, 5 to 7 p.m., from the Goose Island Brewery in Fishtown. If you're not going to be there live, we'd love to see you. But if you're not, and if you're watching on your phone, or you're at home, or however you consume our show, we're going to have some news, some interesting stuff, some stuff we're working on injuries and lineup changes and all sorts of stuff that we're working to get. Geoff and I are working to get confirmed, so we'll have some of that stuff. And you're right, Geoff. It's an interesting week. It's Look, I didn't think the Eagles would have this record, as you set this up here. I sure as hell didn't. I still think it's mostly injury-related in addition to Wentz. But I think this past game, I think there's some things that, when you watch the TV copy, you're not aware of stuff because there's no way you can see it. But there's a lot of good things to come out of that game, despite the defense giving up 30 points. And the offense did nothing for 3 quarters for the most part. But then the fourth quarter, obviously, they went off, and we have the answers why.
Yeah, and it's a big. I think the headline I used for the podcast after the game was, did the Eagles turn a corner in defeat? And certainly there's some evidence such as just that they did, and we'll go through it with the tape review. But it keeps going back to what you just said, and it's hard to capitalize and carry over on the momentum and the progress that you're making when some of those players who are helping you make that progress are just not at your disposal week after week. So, yes, you might get back Deshaun Jackson, and we'll see other players, but now you lose Miles Sanders, now you lose Zach Ertz, now you're going to probably be without Malik Jackson as well, and you're kind of stuck in that. It feels like you're stuck in neutral from that standpoint. How do you continue to improve as a team when you don't even have the same guys around you on the field week after week? It's been a big problem.
Yeah. Yep, continuity is hard. Offensive line, particularly, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes here. But look, the thing is here that at least some of these linemen have played together now for a game or two. That does matter. The more you get your timing down with the same guys, the better. But obviously, after the Week 9 bye, they might have most of their starters back there. In fact, they're going to have a bunch of players returning after the Week 9 bye. I can't tell you exactly how many. We'll not get a quick injury report here, but as you said, Geoff, Ertz is not going to play. Sanders is not going to play. That's probably that's problematic in most cases. But they are playing the Giants, a team that has trouble scoring. But coming out of the Baltimore game, we know Driscoll's not going to play with his ankle injury. We know Ertz is not playing. Malik Jackson will not play with his quadriceps injury. We'll have information on Lane Johnson in our pregame show. Sanders is not playing. Kayvon Wallace is not expected to play. He hurt his shoulder very early in the game. They've done this thing in the past. They were doing this. Now they won't have to do it. Before Parks came back, they were doing Wallace on rundowns and Epps on pass downs. Well, you could junk that now because Mills is back. Parks is back. So when I say he's back, he actually had not played before, but he played in this past game. So they have what they have with these injuries. That's kind of where they're at.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll get into even more of that when we start to break it down. As you mentioned, come see us. Our show will start at 5 o'clock on Thursday. We'll be at Goose Island Brew House, the usual suspects there. It'll be a great time. They'll have the big screen up. And the weather is supposed to be really nice. So beautiful. Again, if you want to watch the show, have a couple of beers, watch the game. It's going to be awesome, and like we said, we'll have some scoops leading up to the game on some really important developments with the Eagles. Check out our YouTube channel if you also want to get a good breakdown of the game, because we recently had a good friend of ours, Jordan Rana, who covers the Giants for ESPN.com's NFL Nation. He broke it down really well with us on the latest Inside the Birds TV, which is available on both our YouTube and our podcast platforms. But if you like to watch it, you want to see Jordan's funny facial expressions when we talk about Eagles linebackers, you can catch that on our YouTube channel. Let's get into some of the transactions, first off, that the team has made, which they've been doing each week. Now, here's interesting, right? Elijah Riley and Jason Kroom revert back to the practice squad. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Kroom has been active the last 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
So that means
second game. Right.
He cannot be elevated anymore. He has to be signed. I'm shocked that, unless he gets signed, that without Dallas Goedert and without Zach Ertz, I'd be surprised if they didn't sign him. Wouldn't you?
Well, they will. Yeah, I'm sure they will. The rules are very odd with transactions for non-Sunday games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they do this, because years ago when I first started covering the league, you had to make your moves 24 hours before your first game that week, before the Thursday night game or Monday night game. Now you could do it the day of by 4 p.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
So what they'll do is, we expect, is that the day of the game or later today on Wednesday, they'll sign Kroom off their practice squad to be up there. It's the only way he can get up there. And
right.
Then he's got to be their second tight end. They don't have a choice. He has to do it. He was 1 for 1 for 1. He had 1 target, 1 catch, and 1 touchdown last week versus the Ravens.
It's a good percentage. I would quit right there.
Right. And by the way, did you see him looking around like there was like no one covering him?
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody know who he was.
Right. What number? I don't even know what number he was.
I think he was 81, if I'm not mistaken.
Or was he? I can't remember which number Josh Perkins was, but yeah, he was in the 80s. Right.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead.
No, Sharif Miller, they agreed to the deal last week, but because of the COVID rules, they had to wait 6 days. So he's back. Good for them bringing him back, Geoff. That they really shouldn't have cut him in the first place. I understand that he didn't make it in Carolina. They run a different scheme than the Eagles do. I hope that they keep him on the practice squad. Do not promote him. They shouldn't have to unless so many guys get hurt. They're going to be they're pretty deep at DN now. Uh-huh. Just let him learn. Let him get to the offseason, then sign him to a future contract, reserve future. Get him in their offseason program, whatever the hell it's going to look like. We have no idea.
Yeah.
We're not going to know until the spring, but I'd really like to see them develop him.
I would too. I'm going to take a second to laugh at the fact that, Casey Toohill made the team. He basically pushed Sharif Miller out of a job. And then, we kind of ripped the team last podcast saying, well, now you released Casey Toohill. You let him get claimed by Washington, and you don't even get anything out of it because you don't have Sharif Miller. And then they bring back Sharif Miller. It's funny how that happens.
Tales of Miller and Toohill, yes.
Exactly. Trevor Williams is off IR, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Cut off IR. Yeah, they didn't even want him on the roster. So
that's not the first time that they've done this.
No, in fact, the thing that's interesting about Williams, my understanding was he didn't have a very good training camp.
Right.
What they were banking on, because he was a veteran who had started a bunch of games, over 24 games for the Chargers. Let's see what would happen if he would be their 5th corner. Oops, a bunch of guys get hurt. He had to play a lot. I think he might have started. I can't remember. So they've had so many players on and off at starting and not starting. Mm-hmm. I know he had to play a lot early in the season when Maddox got hurt. Maddox still, as we reported in our pregame show last week, it wasn't there. The ankle was not close to 100% last week. We'll have an update for you prior to the game on Thursday. What we do, folks, is we lead off with all the injury scoops, everything we're hearing from our sources. Mm-hmm. So I figure we're going to have more on Maddox. The inactives don't come out until, for that game, probably 7 p.m., 6:50, 7 p.m., something like that, before we end the show. But we'll have some injury intel from our sources.
I might have a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
On Maddox.
Okay.
Because you've been saying it for a couple of pods now, and I don't think it's not that I think you're wrong. I do think at his size, he's probably best as a nickel cornerback.
Correct.
Okay. But I feel like you were down on him after about 2 games where you were convinced the guy can't play the outside.
He can, but go ahead. What is your?
I just think like we got to give Carson Wentz was really lousy for 2 games and he's turned it around a little bit. I don't want to completely close the door on him being your number 2 outside corner. I just feel like we've been a little harsh on him for the last this guy's only a nickel. That's all he can play. I'd like to see it through a little bit. You're
He
right
gave
about the evidence. I know it was a bad start, and even last year.
That's it. That's why I bounce it off some people, and it's pretty apparent. If you had your druthers, he should be their nickel. He actually,
Yes.
to me, with his speed and his intelligence and toughness, he could be, if not the best nickel corner in the National Football League, probably top 5 easily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they thought. I mean, they know the player. He's their player. They thought he can do it. It's not that he can't. I just don't think he's best used there. Like you could get away with it because he's a pretty sharp kid.
Right.
I remember it was our first year doing the show 2 years ago when they had to play against Tennessee, and we didn't know that they were going to move him to safety. Like they kept that quiet. And it just goes to show you that he's really sharp,
right,
from a football intelligence standpoint. Really, I was a very high character.
Mm-hmm.
But again, yeah, if you had your druthers, you don't want him playing on the outside unless you had to, and they don't have anybody else. So right now, he has to do it whenever he's healthy enough to do it.
That is fair. This team has had so many issues drafting competent cornerbacks for a long time that even if he's just like decent on the outside for them, I almost consider it's a win. I would just like to see it through. I'm curious. I know that's
Jalen
almost
Mills.
like that's defeatist thinking. I know, but Jalen was
but honestly,
serviceable.
That's kind of it. If you graded Howie Roseman when he had personnel control,
mm-hmm.
and you looked at where he's been done really well, offensive line, defensive line, phenomenal. Cornerback, I know they haven't drafted a lot of them since Howie had quasi control, full control.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever they've tried has not worked. That's
True.
why they had to make the trade for Darius Slay, who, by the way, has been really good. Like, I cannot put a stamp on this more. The more people I talk to from other teams who have graded Eagles tape for
mm-hmm.
advanced work,
mm-hmm.
like they seem to there's one guy who doesn't think he's as good as I'm saying, but other people tell me that he's been solid as hell, but he's not Darrelle Revis. It's like when you talk about, if you just graded all the NFL corners, he's top 10 easily. Easily.
Ask yourself this: are the Eagles getting beat over the top on the outside?
No, not on him.
And why are they not? Because it's Darius Slay is out there. Okay,
right. And Roseman said that. Remember what he said? Was it the combine? He said, "I was sick and tired of seeing the ball go over our heads."
He was. Everybody was. Yeah.
I couldn't believe he said that. That was surprising. But hey,
it was so obvious. Yeah,
I know exactly.
Yeah, even Claypool on his 31-yarder that came against Mills, right? So even the deeper touchdowns like Tyler Higbee, we know that was on Gary. So I don't think Slay has been beaten over the top deep. Certainly not by Hollywood Brown. They did
no, actually, who beat him in training camp?
Deshaun Jackson.
Yes, but that was a different route. The one that Chad Johnson put on the video, I'm pretty certain it was Fulgham. I'm pretty certain it was Fulgham.
Okay.
I can check with the Eagles on that, but I swear when Fulgham ran right by me for a touchdown, a 101s, that's when I was like, maybe there's something here.
One former Lion to another. I guess they were teammates, right? At one point last year?
Technically they would have been he did catch 2 passes last year, but anyway.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. The team, this is probably the least surprise of all, but the team had to protect offensive tackle Prince Tega Wanogo, which given their state of offensive tackle, you could understand why they did that. Will they elevate? I guess it'll be interesting to see if they elevate him, right?
Yeah, I guess they're going to have to because he has a rod in his leg. He's a major project. No one I've talked to said he's ready, but you know what? Neither is Brett Toth, and he had to play. So
yeah,
okay.
Well, I'll repeat the same line. If on Thursday night we're talking about Prince Tega Wanogo, we got a problem.
We got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Yes.
Right. All right. And T.Y. McGill, the defensive tackle, also brought up.
Correct.
All right, so that'll do it for the transactions. We're going to get into the tape review first, as we've been telling you for a long time. Make sure you're checking out PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fan experience, covering all 4 Philly teams. Oh, 5 Philly teams. They cover the Union very well. I got to mention that. And they enhance the fan experience with all of their great content. Catch them on Twitter at PHL Sports Nation, or just go to the website, PHLSportsNation.com. Let's pause real quick for another word from another great sponsor. All right, we have reviewed the tape. We have talked to sources about the tape, and we've got some good information here to deliver on the Eagles-Ravens game. We'll start off, Adam, with the Eagles' offense against the Ravens' defense. I'm not sure it takes some kind of expert scout or league personnel guy to tell us that Carson Wentz was darn near courageous and heroic in that game, but I'm sure it pretty much stood out on tape to everybody.
Yeah, he put the team on his back. He was superhuman in the fourth quarter. It was like there was this urgency. He's like, okay, clock's running out. I need to do something here. I give him a pass in the first half. Although it's interesting, one person told me that it's not really his fault, but he was locked in. He basically was throwing to whoever he could see.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the problem in that game. He couldn't see much in the first half. But
it's amazing Calais Campbell didn't have 10 catches because I think he saw him more than anybody.
Yeah, right. Calais Campbell destroyed Jamon Brown. We'll get to that. That was awful, just really pathetic. But Wentz, see, it's funny. Wentz, by statistics, was hit 16 times. One person said he counted 22. Now, I don't know how that person is from another team because I guess I don't quite understand how advanced work does. They have their own analytics, and I guess they grade differently. But anyway.
Well, is it possible, Adam, that, some places track quarterback hits as how often the quarterback is hit by a defender when he's dropping back or passing the ball? But Carson ran 3 or 4 times designed, and then he ran a couple other times. And, 10 yards down the field, when you get tackled, that's not a quarterback hit in the stat sheet, right? When you just get tackled, but that is a hit on the quarterback. So if you're just counting mileage, right, and body toll, you have to count those as hits.
Yeah. So what happened was, you have to count them as hits.
Plus, you put him out on Wildcat, and he's blocking somebody. So
yeah, in the first half, he got tattooed. It was the first quarter was about as bad of I've seen an offensive line block in the run game. They've not blocked well in the run game all year. That's just a fact. Washington game, because they were healthier, it was better. It's progressively gotten worse to the point where you could have Jim Brown in his prime the last 3 games. They ain't getting anywhere. They just can't because of the guys that they're having out there. But I'll get back to Wentz in a minute or two because I want to go to my notes here on the offensive linemen because I have a lot of stuff here. I don't want to take forever on this. We're going to boil this down to
no problem. We should have started there because you're right. They really stood out.
Herbig, I'll tell you what, all of his detractors, and there are a lot of them around the National Football League, sloppy, overweight, jersey hanging out, doesn't look like a lineman, has no athleticism, all that. Okay, whether we can get people to agree on that, what I can tell you is what the tape showed people I trust. He is grown on people. Not only is he now a good backup NFL guard, now that you have to say that it's all relative to being a backup. He's not who you want starting, but he is won over a lot of people that have looked at him this season. Mm-hmm. He's doing a solid job in pass pro where they thought he could only block for the run. He's getting better, Geoff, because again, he's playing. He's forced to play. He's number 67 for those of you scoring at home, and he's doing a much better job. Mailata, let's get to him. Mm-hmm. Really, really solid. There are a couple of times because he's new to the hand manipulation of how do you, am I punching here? Am I, because as Trey Thomas told us, the way Stoutland coaches, the hands sometimes are late to get there. Mm-hmm. But he is starting to learn his own strength. He's not on the ground at all, which is really key. Mm-hmm. He's shown more athleticism. Was pretty solid here. He less mistakes this game than because he had I was told late in the Pittsburgh game he had some mistakes. Mm-hmm. Really solid. He's growing, barring a unforeseen circumstance. He will be their left tackle the rest of the season. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because I kind of know when people I trust around the National Football League who particularly not familiar with him, other than what they knew because they have to get his background and his bio. Mm-hmm. They can't understand how he's doing this well. And I can't either.
I don't think anybody can, right?
I thought he failed completely against the Ravens because of all the bleep that they do. They're way more complex than the Steelers, and I don't want to criticize the Steelers. They're more talented on their front. But Wink Martindale, so what Wink did is he moved Campbell on Brown, and that's why Brown got destroyed. Brown, probably one of the worst performances they've had in years at guard.
Yeah.
It would have been benched. I would bet the house he would have been benched at halftime if they had anyone else, but they didn't. So he had to play.
The crazy thing is Doug has not committed to benching him against the Giants Thursday night.
Well, Pryor's not ready, so I don't know
But how could he not be ready? Because nobody's having real practices this week We know that. These are lighter practices. It's more
Right.
class.
Well, prior still on the COVID list, though. Correct? I think so.
Well, he was not. He himself didn't have it, so I thought he could come off.
No. Right, but
I
understand that. But he's still on the reserve COVID list. They have to take him off of it. He's got to pass the doctor's evaluation. They have to They have to make sure because even if there's an incubation period for this thing, I don't want to get too technical here, and we need to move on a minute. But
yeah,
they have to know that he's safe to come in their building and also to be around other players.
right.
So barring a surprise, I mean, later today, well, they actually have, if I understand this right, till 4 o'clock Eastern on Thursday to activate him. But you can't put him in there without practicing. He hasn't even been in a walkthrough. So
I guess. I don't know what the difference is between him and Jamon Brown, who wasn't practicing.
But Brown's on the active roster right now.
But I'm saying if he's active, even if he doesn't practice, I don't know how important that practice is. They're not actually practicing.
It's funny talking to the Titans. They didn't practice. They had a couple speed walkthroughs where they simulate.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call. So Brown was horrendous. I mean, it's I don't know what to tell you. Driscoll, before he got hurt, he held his own. He's got issues with functional strength. Mm-hmm. We've said this for a couple months now. Once you get him in the weight room in an off season, he's going to be much better. He's smart. I could see why Geoff Stoutland likes it so much. He's really smart. He knows what he wants to do. He can't always do it because he's not strong enough.
Right.
But he did a good job. It's funny as we are positive about these linemen, Geoff. You would think, well, wait a minute, weren't they terrible in the first half? Yeah. One guy, Jamon Brown, ruined the whole thing. It only takes one guy.
He really did. Getting back to your point on Mailata, what I observed was, especially not just the technique, right? But one thing about him is he's a super nice guy, gentle giant, whatever you want to call him. You were waiting to see if he could develop a little bit of a mean streak that every offensive lineman really needs. And I think you saw after the Carson Wentz fumble, right? And I forget who recovered it. I think it was Chris Clark, one of the Ravens defensive backs.
Chuck Clark.
Chuck Clark. And he starts to run with the ball, and Mailata came over and flattened him.
That was awesome.
Not only that, but the guy tried to get up and keep running, even though it was clearly tackled, and Mailata just double hand smacked him to the ground again. And there was a run where he just shoved the 3 technique completely out of the go too.
That was cool. I put on our show a couple months ago when we were trying to figure out if I knew Mailata was not going to be cut, despite all the rumors that he should be cut, but I didn't know where his progression was, because remember, he missed 2 weeks on the COVID list.
Mm-hmm.
He started off a little rocky in training camp, and they had abbreviated training camp, so you didn't really know where he was. But the one negative I heard was he doesn't understand that you got to bring the toughness, and he can't be passive.
Right.
And you weren't sure because he was a rugby player. The physicality in rugby is clearly different. Plus, he was carrying the ball as a rugby player. You've seen those videos, I'm sure, wearing the rugby shirt. His thighs are about this big.
It's unbelievable.
I know. I forgot about that stuff. But anyway, look, this is what Geoff Stoutland saw, what he could be. Now we're there. And by the way, if he's on a 10-point scale, a 6.5, he's got a chance to be a 9. Now, the athleticism, they have to figure out a way to get it. And I know it's not totally natural for him because this is foreign to him. All the hand manipulation and the moves and the pass sets, because he's never done it before.
Yeah.
But he's so far ahead of where he could possibly. I got this wrong. I didn't think there was a prayer of this happening. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty cool.
He was. Now, you're right. Technical stuff. For example, I think on the 2-point conversion that they failed at the end of the game, looked like he may have blocked the wrong guy and left an unblocked defender who helped blow that up. I think it was LJ Fort. But that was a read option. That was a read option. Yeah, read option.
Zone read.
Right.
Zone read.
Yeah. And so it looks like he didn't block the correct person.
And by the way, why didn't they? Okay, we haven't talked about this. This was not on our script tonight, but I want to ask you this. I thought for sure, because this is what teams do when it comes out on the last play, almost always you just do it. You do a sprint right option, which is the famous play that Dwight Clark had with Joe Montana. You roll him. He's a right-hand thrower, so you roll him right. Now, you could say it might have been the play with the read option. I would have said, screw that. I get Ertz wasn't in the game because Fulgham's such a stud now with the way he goes up and gets the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I would have just rolled him right and make a play. Because that Carson's a terrific thrower on the run, And I don't know. I think they're trying to do too much there. That's
could
my
even
opinion,
run it in too. You're right, and he can run it in too if the defense is sagging.
Yeah,
But
sure.
you heard what Doug said. The fountain of plays in the red zone had run dry. So I guess you just when in doubt, you go to the read option.
I could not believe he said that. I
was a little surprised myself.
I thought that was absurd. I mean,
Have you ever heard a coach say that?
I couldn't believe he said that. I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but it's like, dude, Mosher and I could draw something in the dirt like Bill Walsh did with Montana.
Yeah. Have you ever heard a coach say that, by the way?
No. I thought it was absurd. It's like, come on,
Never heard
man,
a coach say they ran out of plays. Never in my life.
That's a joke. Come on.
I know.
Really?
Yeah, it's bad. So wide receivers. Let's see where we are. I mean, obviously we know Hightower dropped a wide open pass, but then caught a nice one in the second half. So a little bit of atonement there.
I think he had, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had 2 drops. The one was awful and embarrassing the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
What a throw by Wentz! Oh my God!
Great throw.
It's Hightower only had 1 catch. Listen, again, if you had your druthers, you'd be your 5th receiver, a couple shot plays a game, and get him off the field. It's a situation because they only have 5 receivers available. What's comical is after the bye, they should have 8 available, and they'll have decisions to make, but they're all good decisions. It's you love to have all these guys back after the bye, but he has to play. He still doesn't have the strength that you want. He does have positional versatility to play. He can play slot, movement Z. He can do that. He had to play 43 snaps. I'll say this about him. The positive, what one person told me is the positive about him is, and you talked about this on our show in August, his football IQ is pretty good. So he kind of knows where to go. It's not so much creating leverage. He kind of knows where he needs to end up. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the hands are a problem. This is Aaron Moorhead's got to get these kids to catch the ball correctly.
Mm-hmm.
There's an issue here. Fulgham's he's got great hands. Like, you don't need to teach him anything catching the football.
He's fine. Yeah. I think Hightower is really the only one. You go back to last year, they had a real issue with drops during the middle of the year. Aguilar was dropping a lot of passes. I'm trying to think who else was there. We had a couple other guys out there.
Ward catches it pretty well.
Yeah, but this is even before Ward got called up last year. I don't
even know who the hell he had, dude. I have no idea.
Yeah, it was Alshon. Deshaun was hurt early, and I forgot.
Alshon's always had good hands.
Arthega-Whiteside. So Arthega-Whiteside and Aguilar and even Goddard were dropping. I remember that Lions game where they dropped like 100 passes in that game.
It's week 2 in the heat.
Yeah. That hasn't been an issue this year as much. It has not. I mean, with Hightower,
but Hightower's had some critical drops against the Steelers for a touchdown.
Right. Sanders, obviously.
Yeah. Fulgham's catch on that touchdown was awesome. He high-pointed it. He leveraged. Was it 44?
Was it Humphrey?
Was it Humphrey? He leveraged him.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and by the way, that was a design. You know, people are saying Carson just threw it up. No, he didn't. Here's the way it was explained to me. Because they practiced together, and Carson has such a trust on Fulgham. He's like, I want you to go get this football because I know you can win it. That's high-level football, and he trusts. There are only like maybe 5 or 6 quarterbacks would do this. He happens to be one of them. When Carson is right mentally, this is what you've seen the last 2 weeks. He's right. Now, Carson, we might as well get into him, and we'll talk about Fulgham in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Wentz now is almost there. He's almost to the accuracy still is not quite where you want it from the 17th Carson, but his gutsiness, his willingness to make big-time throws, he's seeing the field better. He's very close to seeing the field the way you need it, to see the whole field. And he didn't throw it. So what I was told was he didn't throw it to Fulgham 2 or 3 times in the first half because he was locked on someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't really his fault, just that Fulgham got open. That's why he didn't get it, despite – I was wrong about that Sunday night or Monday morning because I didn't have all the answers yet. But Fulgham got open. He's winning repeatedly. This is just ridiculous what the kid's doing. But getting back to Wentz, he's got it going on right now. He's, as you said, Geoff, earlier, he's gutsy, he's tough, captain, courageous, whatever the hell you want to call him. But I worry about him taking all these hits. I know that he's up to 250 pounds, maybe even be more than that. Who the hell knows? But he's taken way too many hits. I'm going to go back because the Giants have a good front, man. I'm going to start rolling him. I would start rolling him right, give him room to throw it, and let him throw on the run, man, because you got to help him not take hits because You know what you have on the offensive line. It's not good enough. And Brett Toth might be starting again. So, I mean, might be starting for the first time. So you're going to need to do something here.
Yeah, I imagine he's probably closer to 260 pounds on Monday with all the swelling and inflammation that he had. But yeah, that throw to Fulgham, by the way, I mean, there was so much, and I understand, I'm not knocking anybody. There was so much negativity on Monday and even Sunday night, listening to sports talk radio about Doug's play calling, about this, about that, it was almost lost on how good of a touchdown pass that was to Travis Fulgham. It was a great catch too, but he anticipated it. He backpedaled. He threw off the foot, took the hit, and put the ball high arcing in the air in the only place Travis Fulgham could get it. This was the first game where I thought Carson had at least 5 or 6 throws where he put the ball perfectly in guys' hands where only they could catch it, whether it was Miles, whether it was Hightower, whether it was Fulgham. You're right. He was Carson Wentz, and I think the accuracy, the completion percentage is a lot different. But I think it's different if some of those balls are caught, obviously, and if he's not just getting pounded every play.
Exactly. Ron Jaworski told us on ITB TV last week, folks. If you haven't seen it, it's really a great job by Jaws. Jaws said, look, despite how well he played against the Steelers, he's still worried about Carson's mechanics. Mm-hmm. He said he wasn't giving him a pass. He also said that Carson can't step into every throw. In 2017, Carson's completion percentage was not super high, not as high as you would want it, but he was making so many tough throws and so many big-time NFL throws. You didn't care. No one who coached him or evaluated him could care. They could care less about it. They were like, I won't use the language what they said, because when I would ask people, they're like, "Why are you even asking me this? He's been unbelievable." I'm like, "Okay, I just thought about the percentage." And
it was only his second year too, so I imagine that they felt like that would be something he improved upon anyway, naturally. Sure. All right, let's move away from the offense. We're done with offense, right?
Yeah, they can't run the ball. Sanders got hurt, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The second half of the show, we're going to talk about the Giants game, Giants matchup, but. Fulgham, I don't know what else to say. We've said it all. We've been talking about him for almost 2 months now. He's a godsend for this football team. I couldn't even imagine where they'd be without him.
Yeah, and real quick on they can't run the ball, which is true that they're struggling to run the ball. A big part of that, and I only watched about a half of the game on tape. A big part of that is that the last 2 weeks they've had 7 and 8 men, not just in the box, but at scrimmage, because they are just daring the Eagles to try to make a play downfield, which is why I even said that in the pregame show. I said, you know what? The Ravens are going to sell out. They're going to do a lot of zero blitzing, and there's going to be opportunities to put the ball in the air. It's just, does Carson have the 2 seconds to be able to do it, and is somebody going to catch it? And, of course, third play of the game, Hightower's there. It's there, and, of course, Hightower doesn't catch it. But
watching Geoff on TV, and I see it come down, I'm like, I don't think it would have been a touchdown, but it was going to be obviously a 50-yard play or whatever.
Yeah.
But I see it come down. I'm like, oh, wow, what a great throw. Oh, he dropped it. I'm like,
he dropped it. It's unbelievable. He dropped it.
How does this happen? And look, but before we move on to defense, so they had Ertz covered incredibly well. I got to now I'll say this. Wentz was trying to force it to him. He was covered. He wasn't really open, I was told. Mm-hmm. The Fulgham was the only guy who got open repeatedly. It just didn't get the ball sometimes because Carson was going elsewhere. But that's kind of it. One thing. The Jalen Hurts package absolutely worked. It worked to a certain degree. I wouldn't go overboard. I was a little bit overboard on our Monday show, but the defense has to account for him, and it's a change-up that I think works. And someone else I trust agreed with me, although this person does not think it had the impact that I did. But okay, that's fine. But you got to try something. And
I thought it did. It had a good impact when he ran the ball. A 20-yard run. I thought that was important. I just questioned the impact on the Miles Sanders 74-yard run. All he did was fake a reverse. And
right, but the guy had to travel. But the thing that I'd like to see him, because they have to do it because they're down in pass targets. They're just down in offensive talent. I'd like to see. He's got a good arm. I'd like to see him throw the football.
I think that's the next step.
Make it easy for him. Because of just have him roll right. I love. Was it against Pittsburgh? He threw a BB. It was like a 1.5 step. One boom, beautiful throw.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah. I'd love to see that because it's a lot. That you're asking a kid to do some things that he's done before, he did in college, and some things he hasn't done before, with no off season and really no real training camp and no preseason. So you don't want to overload him,
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, from what we understand, he's held up mentally pretty well. They've given him certain things to handle, and he's handled it. So you know what? Give him more.
Yeah, but real quick before the finish this off, I just want to say one thing about the Ravens. I know they give up 28 points. I have a real appreciation after watching them on tape for a little bit of how tough, how physical their defense is, but also how smart they are. There were several plays, Adam, where you would see 7 or 8 guys at the line of scrimmage, which means like they're either selling out or one safety deep. And really, like a second before the snap, a safety who was at the line of scrimmage faking blitz would drop all the way back, and it would wind up being a cover 2. And a couple other guys would take a like a 5-yard drop, and you realize this is just a basic cover 2 zone that started off looking like an all-out blitz. They are really good at disguising. I mean, we talk about this with Jim, right? Just disguising what they do, making the quarterback think. In some ways, you gain more respect for them, and even Carson, who had to do all this mental deciphering. They show you a completely opposite look as the way they line up on a lot of snaps. So really, I'm impressed by how they run their defense. I know they
and I would add that they corner or safety blitzes. It was kind of what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys got home. I mean, it was just unbelievable how well they did. And if I'm the D coordinator, Patrick Graham of the Giants, I'm doing the same thing with Jabril Peppers. I'm bringing him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing, if Julian Love plays, I'm bringing him. I'm bringing all sorts of safety and corner blitzes, because in the Eagles, they did it to the kid who had to come in, the Toth kid, that within like 5 plays, they brought a blitz right at him. I'm doing it because the only chance the Giants have is to bring the heat. To me, that they have to do it.
I still can't believe Brett Toth played in that game.
I can't believe it either.
Unbelievable.
I don't even exactly. I'm so numb to all the if you and I broke down how deep they're going on the roster, like, you can't make this up. They have, I chart every team's injuries. The Eagles by far have the worst injury situation. Like, the Niners have a bad one, but the Eagles are way worse.
Yeah,
because it's on both sides of the football, and they're going like 4-string tackle. It's like ridiculous what they're having to do.
It's crazy.
Anyway.
That was like the smelling salts. Like, I was numb to it too. I'm like, all right, injury. Then Brett Toth came in. I'm like, whoa, holy cow!
As you predicted, it can't be. Well, the funny thing is, I'm like, wait a minute, what number is he? 64. Who the hell is it? It's a shame. But anyway, you want to go to the?
You should hear. Yeah, I will. You should hear Todd Harriman's in Tales from the Blind Side.
I got to hear it,
because he even said, I'm watching the game, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, who the F is 64?
I know.
He didn't even know who he was. All right, let's move on.
How would you know?
I have no idea.
And by the way, what if he got hurt?
I don't even want to think about it.
I don't know. I don't know who the hell would have played.
You Sua Opeda and you run the wishbone. All right, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code ITB for a special offer when you sign up. That's code ITB for a special offer when you sign up only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, let's whiz through the defense here.
They did a lot of stuff.
Man, they did. And the D-line played pretty – I know, again, they gave up 30 points, but I thought the defensive line came to play. You didn't see the Eagles faked out by a whole lot of misdirection, reverse, some of the stuff that you've seen those DMs.
Well, they got – right. Yeah, although I'll tell you what, Greg Roman didn't do a lot of stuff.
I was surprised. I was too.
Man, that surprised the hell out of me. And I know they do some they do a lot of pistol. They do a lot of like odd things with the running backs. They do misdirection with them, or they'll line up 2 running backs in a pistol, and Gus Edwards might lead. They do all sorts of stuff, but for the most part, the Eagles were very disciplined. Whereas Wink Martindale had Calais Campbell line up over Brown the whole time. That's why Brown was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
If you change the Eagles D versus the Ravens O, they didn't do it. Eagles. Here's what they did. They played their normal front, but they did not have him play the wide nine, get upfield, and play the run of the quarterback. They didn't do that. They had him. I wouldn't call it quite a mush rush, which is what they did with the late Jim Johnson. What he did against Michael Vick.
More like rush lanes.
Right, exactly. They said, listen,
lanes, yeah.
Right, stay disciplined. They did that. They did a good job. Boy, Brandon Graham was terrific in this game, I was told, by 2 people. Saw the same thing. They saw his energy and how disciplined he was. Well, he's super smart. I mean, He's been for everything. Like, he's seen every type of quarterback. You're not going to fool him. They did a good job there. And Alex Singleton, tell you what, let's move to linebacker unless you want to add something. I mean, I thought Singleton, I was told by 3 people. It's not even close to who the best linebacker is. It's not even the issue now.
Right.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, he's their best linebacker.
It's like, I wonder when TJ Edwards gets back, and I wonder how they're going to do it now in terms of nickel and dime and base. I mean, Singleton played 65 snaps, 80%, 89%. Gary, for some stupid reason, played 93, but they only had 4 linebackers available.
Right.
See, they'll never bench Gary. They could have 10 linebackers. It just seems to me like this is what the linebackers coach wants, Ken Flagel, which is fine. That's his guy. We know that. But I'll tell you what, Singleton, they're on to something. It's kind of comical because they were forced to play him. They didn't really have anyone else.
Right.
And now we're seeing how this kid is a good football player and is really going to help them. And then Sean Bradley played
middle linebacker. Again,
I'm sorry?
Yeah, they played him in the middle on base situations.
Yep. He did a good job. And so I asked someone, I said, hey, did you scout Bradley? And the guy said, the guy within our team said, look, I didn't because he's not in my area, but I could tell you that he's real limited in his athleticism. He's a really good kid. He brings good energy and passion for the game. Not the most instinctual player. But if you asked him to do certain things, he could carry it out. And you know what? He did this game. He did a good job. He got out of place in one play for a big play, but
yeah, that was the Lamar Jackson touchdown run.
Correct.
Was that him? Yeah,
yes,
might have been.
I'm pretty certain of it. He did a good job, for the most part. I think that they have to feel pretty proud about their front seven. I know when you say 30 points, what are you talking about? I get it. But if you look at it from a macro standpoint, they'll never face an offense like this. No one's like this, even with the fast quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is not asked to do this stuff. And by the way, as we said before the game, Lamar Jackson had not been playing at a high level. He didn't play well in this game. He just had a couple big runs. That's it. I got to give Jim Schwartz credit. He did some stuff because he had Will Parks there. He was in matchups in this game, man. They did a lot of they moved. They had different packages for different players. This is Geoff we were talking about in the spring. Then I said 3 weeks ago, oh shit, they're not doing it. I guess I'm going to be wrong. Well, part of it is they were able to play Mills at corner this past game. And he covered safety. He covered Mark Andrews and kind of shut him down. I don't get it. I can't believe it.
Well, I mean, that's really why they wanted to move him to the inside. He covers laterally well. And honestly, some of that, just in my own watching, some of it was Lamar just being a little skittish there when he had to throw the ball. But some of it was, I thought Jalen did a decent job when he had to cover Mark
Did a good job.
I think that's what his role is in the NFL.
Well, I was told pretty reliably. Now, again, this is only Parks' first game, but he didn't play every snap. He played 39 snaps, which is we knew he wouldn't play even close to the all snaps because he'd been out 7 weeks. But he was brought in particular to cover tight ends. So I wonder if now Evan Ingram is their next matchup, who's pretty athletic but has not had a good season at all. And remember, Andrews gets open so much because defenses are so obsessed with stopping the quarterback because he kills you with a run. Right. And he gets open a lot because he's a seam tight end. This game, they stopped him. And I give Schwartz credit. He had a great game plan. And it's a shame that they gave up 30 points because I'm just telling you, a lot of people I spoke to had a ton of respect. McLeod played pretty damn well. He played all the snaps. Slay played really well.
Right.
They really controlled Hollywood Brown. They really did a good job.
Well, let's also be realistic and be fair, right? Because I do think the defense deserves a little more credit. All right, they gave up a touchdown to Nick Boyle, Baltimore's first touchdown. That was actually a well-defended play, and only Lamar Jackson can be stopped like that, throw a sidearm pass to a Boyle between two guys. I mean, you're just not going to get beat that way. So, all right, they're down 7-0. Carson Wentz has the fumble. They're doing just so much with Carson. And that turns into the Gus Edwards touchdown. So that's 14 points. That's 2 touchdowns, and that's early in the game. And then from then on, I believe the only other touchdown was the Lamar Jackson run. I'm not saying it doesn't count, but it was literally just one breakdown from the first quarter, and the rest were field goals. And the Eagles offense had -7 yards on their first 6 possessions. So just think about how much the defense was on the field for that game. I mean, thankfully they were able to hold Baltimore to a few field goals that could have been touchdowns. They really didn't screw up like you've seen them screwing up. They were just facing a different kind of offense.
I thought Greg Roman, though, could have done more to confuse them.
Sure.
But he didn't for whatever reason. But I'll tell you what, Singleton showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Gary had some plays he'd like to have back. He was a little better this game, but I wouldn't go crazy. He's still super below average and should be playing, but they have what they have.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, another thing that surprised me, and again, this is totally situational. I'm pretty certain he only did it for this game, but we'll see against the Giants. Did you see who lined up at outside corner?
Oh, Nicole Roby-Coleman played.
How about that at 5'7" and 210? Like, I never would have believed that. But again, they have. Okay, Miles Boykin has not been he has not had the season I think the Ravens, if they're being honest, thought he would have.
Mm-hmm.
He's tall, but he has not had a good season. And Hollywood Brown is super explosive. They didn't shut him down, but they controlled him. He did not kill them deep. That was huge coming in this game. They didn't give it up. They didn't. I give Schwartz. I don't know who gave Jim. I don't know if it was Jim on his own saying this is what we're doing, or you got input. I know he gets input from his coaches, but whoever's idea to put him on the outside, Roby-Coleman, I never would have believed it. But Strap, and Strap was their nickel.
Yeah.
His issue is foot speed. He just doesn't have it.
Right.
But he handled himself well. Look, they gave up the Willie Snead crosser. Okay, but that was it for Willie Snead.
Yeah, and there was a Boykin catch in the first quarter that was matched up against Coleman, and where you saw the size come into play. But I agree with you. I thought it was smart. Look, I think he was also out of choices. He says, "I'm going to put Slay on Brown, and I'm going to put Strap in nickel because Strap is my best run defending small corner, and we're going to be playing the run a lot." So he puts him when you're at the nickel. You're inside there, so you are big and you have to know run keys. So I thought it was smart to have Roby-Coleman on the outside against their fourth best weapon, right? I mean, Andrews, Hollywood Brown, Duvernay has become kind of a weapon for them. And by the way, I don't know if this was pointed out to you, but Jalen Mills has got to be smarter, man. There's a play in the first, and this led to a touchdown. Lamar Jackson hit Duvernay on the left side for a quick screen for 17 yards on second down. Second and long. It was like second and 12.
Yes.
The Ravens lined up 3 wide receivers on the left side.
Yeah, it was the first series. In fact, they ran a bunch. They went a bunch to the left.
You know what the problem was? The Eagles only had 2 corners on that side. Jalen Mills was supposed to, and I checked on this. I'm right. Jalen Mills was supposed to come over and be you can't have the wrong numbers. You can't have 3 receivers and 2 corners. Because Lamar saw it immediately, and he threw it to Duvernay, who had the 2 blocks in front of him, and he got 17 yards. You can't have that mental mistake.
It's funny. I watched the TV copy because I've Verizon Fios. The slow motion is terrific. I'm like, oh my God, he could have run for 50 yards if they could have had a block better. He had so much space and room. Because I thought that after that play, I'm like, the Eagles might be in trouble today. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. They just didn't. They didn't give any. The biggest play was to Brown for 20 yards. They didn't give up much.
Right. That might have been the second biggest play.
Yeah. Boyle got lucky because Jackson, he uses flexibility for that touchdown. It's ridiculous. But there are a lot of positives. We beat up Schwartz a lot this season, rightfully so, based on the people we talked to. Mm-hmm. A lot of criticism from advanced people that I've talked to on Schwartz, but he called a great game. It's too bad they gave up 30. Like you said, it doesn't really show when you give up 30 points, but if you just go play by play, quarter by quarter, they did a lot of good things, and this should carry them as they get more players back. But I thought overall the defense, before we close this deal, I think they should feel a lot better about themselves, and I thought the coaches did a very good job. Despite Maddox not playing, and that obviously changes the way you can cover. They got. I was told that. Parks did not make like a big impact in that game because I asked somebody.
Yeah, it didn't seem. Just even me watching it, I didn't really see a whole lot.
Yeah, I asked. I said, "Hey, did you notice this kid Will Parks on the Eagles when you were watching the Eagles tape?" I said, "You know what? He didn't impress me. They didn't have him doing a lot." And
linebacker in the box kind of role.
Right. But I'm telling you, at some point they're going to have their plan for him when he's ready to go physically. Mm-hmm. He's going to be Malcolm Jenkins. He's going to be a linebacker. He's going to cover tight ends.
Blitz a little?
Yes. The kid is really gifted, and they just because McLeod's really playing well. For the most part, he's had a solid season. Slay's playing his ass off. Mills is who he is, but he's got positional versatility. They've got that versatility. And Strap and Maddox, when his ankle's right, if they all stay in the field, man, this secondary is going to be 100 times better than it has
definitely. Definitely. All right. You ready to break down? Oh, real quick. Davion Taylor actually made his debut.
Go ahead.
Played some snaps.
Yeah.
I looked into it.
Did you see that? Did you see him track down Lamar Jackson? Did you see that?
Yes, he's got the speed. That's never been the question.
Holy shite.
He's got the speed. But I was also told that they put him in on situations that were very vanilla to make it pretty easy for him to let the physical attributes, as you saw, kick in. So I'm not knocking. I'm saying that's the smart thing to do. You want to let him crawl before he can walk, and so we'll see if he gets more.
Good.
I don't know if he'll get more playing time, but we'll see.
He led them in special team snaps. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, they needed to because they had Bradley playing so much on the defense, right? I mean, guys got
29. Yeah, he's fast, man. That was another. I'm glad I totally forgot. And by the way, I do want to mention Josh Sweat is a man. Someone told me.
He shows up.
He shows up. This kid is. This is going to, we'll see how if his knee holds up. But I'll tell you what, this guy's a baller, man. This kid's a player. This is a hell of a find for them.
I thought Barnett had a few good rushes too. I don't know if he stood out to who you talked to.
Didn't
but
hear
I thought
that.
there were a couple of good rushes.
To me. Yeah.
All right, let's get into defense versus I guess that is. We're going to get into the game. Yeah,
Giants.
Game.
Let's go Giants, Eagles,
quick,
man.
Yeah, before we get into that, we've been telling people all the time, you got to go to manscaped.com and take advantage of the offer that they're giving, 20% off and free shipping. Look, Halloween's coming up, and I know you might go out as Chewbacca or you might go out as a grizzly bear, but it's what's underneath the costume that matters. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, and then get rid of that nose hair and ear hair and all that stuff. Ladies, if you're listening, you know you want your man to be nice and groomed. So make sure you take it upon yourself. If your man won't do it yourself. Go to manscaped.com and get that 20% off. Get that free shipping. And at manscaped.com.
ITB, right? Promo code ITB.
The promo code is ITB. Thank you. I forgot to mention the important part, that the promo code is ITB to get that 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. All right, let's preview this fantastic game between the Eagles and the Giants at the link. By the way, the weather's going to be really nice. That's
high 60.
It's always pouring when these teams play.
I know. We had that's right. The game in Philly last year, which is the Eagles got booed off the field.
Yeah.
It was incredible. They were so bad in that first half against the Giants. I think it was a Monday night game. That's when they took Sanders out because they just couldn't get anything done. And Boston Scott was one of the heroes of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that game went into overtime. But look, let's start with the Eagles offense versus the Giant D. All they have to – if I'm Patrick Graham, I'm bringing the heat because this Eagles offensive line is banged up. He saw exactly what the Ravens did. You just use the same blueprint. You used Jabril Peppers as a blitzer. Kyler Fackrell is – he came over from Green Bay. Patrick Graham, by the way, coached Martinez and Fackrell when he was their linebackers coach, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Fackrell's a decent pass rusher. Not special, but decent. Marcus Goldman, as Jordan Ronan told us, is a situational pass rusher. He's not playing as much as we thought he would.
Right.
Maybe that explains why he didn't get the free agent deal that he was expecting. But they're not a very good defense. What Graham's doing is he's really disguising well. He's playing with more discipline, but they're not a big play defense like the Ravens.
No, definitely not.
Now here's my question: are you going, because now that the Eagles line got handled until Carson played Captain Courageous and put the team on his back in the fourth quarter, they're only going to probably have two tight ends available. Do you have Richard Rodgers stay in a lot? Do they go 11 or 12 this game?
I still think they're going to play more 11. I don't know how you play 12 without Dallas Goedert and without Zach Ertz. I mean, that means you have to play Richard Rodgers and either Jason Kroom or maybe call up Hakeem Floyd or
Hakeem Butler.
I'm sorry, Hakeem Floyd. Where am I getting that one?
Michael
Butler.
Floyd. Michael Floyd, right? Remember him?
Michael Floyd, the wide receiver for Arizona Cardinals. Yes,
that's who I thought you were thinking.
I might have been. Who knows at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it is with the Eagles roster.
Actually,
you don't even know half these guys' names.
I'm thinking 13's Mike Evans. I haven't even looked at Butler's. No, he's got a tight end number, but anyway. So
I think you got to play 11. I mean, especially if you have Deshaun Jackson back. You've got Deshaun on one side. You got Fulgham on another. I said, yeah,
should
if.
have.
I said, if you have
Yes,
Deshaun Jackson
yes,
back,
yes,
right.
yes.
And then Ward in the slot. I'm just going to make an overriding statement here.
Okay.
I think it's natural, it's human nature, and even common sense to say, look, they just scored 28 against the Ravens, and they scored, 29 against the Steelers?
Yes.
And they're playing a defense that is not nearly as talented. And in both of those games, they had offensive line issues. But what I will caution is that, as you know, Adam, there's an ebb and flow to this league and this game where trying to expect more because you saw it last week or the week before, it just never works out that way. If anything, Patrick Graham has – did I get that right, Patrick Graham?
Yes.
Yeah, he has now 2 weeks more of tape to watch on some of these guys, whether it's Jamon Brown, whether it's Jordan Mailata, Nate Herbig, to try. And now he has a short week to do it, but they'll figure out something. They'll take from what they've seen, and it's a division game. So I'm not expecting Carson Wentz to go out there and drop another 28 to 35 just because the Giants are not as good. And so I would just caution against that thinking.
Right. So if I'm Patrick Graham, I am targeting Jamon Brown, whoever lines up there at left guard. I am going after that guy, and I'm not stopping. Again, if it's right, what did I say? Left guard, right? What?
No, you said right guard. Yeah.
Yeah. Right guard. Whoever's lining up at right guard, I'm going after him. They only have 2 choices anyway, so they got to win that one. The Eagles have to find a way to help whoever lines up there. See, the only problem I have with Peterson is this: when it's not going well for a particular player, what are you doing to help him? And that's
it's hard to protect a guard.
I'm sorry.
It's hard to protect a guard other than
but you could slide your protection. There's certain things you can do, or you could. Well, they didn't have anybody else is the problem because Pryor was not available. Mm-hmm. But you got to try something to help the kid.
Yeah, roll out Carson right, roll out Carson left.
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, I mean, you help them. So that I would say this: you have to come in with a plan, knowing that what happened with Jamon Brown, you have to be able to protect. I'm expecting Graham to bring the heat. Why wouldn't? How could you not? And the blitzers are going to be Fackrell. Mm-hmm. I would think Marcus Golden, because that's what he's known for as a pass rusher. Right. They don't use Lorenzo Carter, which is surprising. He is not even playing anymore.
I thought he got hurt. Am I mistaken?
He was hurt earlier in the season. He is not anymore.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought he had an ACL injury. Okay. I could be wrong.
Lorenzo, no. Marcus Golden had an ACL with the Cardinals. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I know that. I just thought I thought Lorenzo was out. Okay, no problem. He's on injured reserve. According to
Lorenzo Carter?
He's on IR.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know. Are you thinking of Alec Ogletree? He's not even with them anymore, right?
No, I'm looking at my list here.
He tore his Achilles tendon in Dallas, so it was just,
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm looking at the wrong guy here. I'm sorry. Lorenzo Carter, you're right. He tore his Achilles. Correct. Good job. Yeah, Fackrell, by the way, has an ankle injury. Jimenez, that's the kid. O'Shane Jimenez.
Oh, O'Shane, yeah. I thought he was going to be a better player there. Yeah.
By the way, do you know what he has in common with Fulgham?
I think O'Shea Jimenez also played football at Old Dominion, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yes. So Jimenez is hurt. He's on injured reserve. Carter, you're correct, has on injured reserve. Xavier McKinney, who they had high hopes for at safety, he's on IR.
But Peppers, you mentioned Peppers is a guy who can blitz too.
He can blitz. Yes, thank you. Yeah, he can blitz. Remember, they lost DeAndre Carter. They had to cut him because of the field issue, which was bizarre. That's killed him at corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot believe this when I was not even aware of this until somebody told me. I could not believe Ryan Lewis, who's been now on 8 teams. He's Will Lewis's son. Will Lewis is a former NFL personnel guy who was in the league forever. His brother Tim Lewis was a first-round pick of the Packers, and he's actually cousins, I think, with Louis Riddick of ESPN and formerly of the Eagles.
Okay.
But anyway, Ryan Lewis was a guy that, had he not had a good 40 time, I think it was at a pro day, probably would never play in the NFL. He just has elite speed. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, and remember, he played for the Eagles a little bit. He was with the Dolphins. He's actually starting for the Dolphins. Then he got exposed because he's not good enough. They cut him. He played every snap last week. Every snap. I didn't believe it. Someone told me, I'm like, get the F out of here. No, really? Played every snap.
It's amazing. Well, the Eagles know all about somebody who shouldn't be playing every snap, playing a lot of snaps. I mean, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man.
Here's the thing, though, with what you're saying that they do on defense is that you don't have Miles Sanders. You need to establish some type of running game, and you've only got Boston Scott, you've only got Corey Clement, and maybe we'll see if Jason Huntley is still alive and get in the game. So and by the way, the Giants are one thing that they're fairly decent at this year is being a good run stuffing team. Dalvin Tomlinson is a good tackle, and so is Lawrence, the kid they drafted out of.
He's good. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is it yeah, Dexter Lawrence. So the worry I have is about being behind the sticks all the time. You have no running game, and you're going to be constantly in 2nd and 2 or 10 or 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 8, 2nd and 8. You need to figure out a way on 1st and 2nd down to get some decent positive yardage. And, I don't know how you do that when you don't have Miles. Yeah, you're getting, like I said, you get Deshaun back, but you lose Miles and Zach. So it's net negative.
Yeah, you love that. By the way, I forgot this one. Logan Ryan will be a blitzer in this game.
Oh, he can be. Yeah, he's from the slot especially.
Last year, they moved him to slot corner, and they rushed him, and he became a really good blitzer for the Titans. So you'll see him do that. Bradbury's playing his ass off. He's been terrific.
Yeah, Jordan Ron, they're getting very big on that.
And they don't – it's really interesting. They don't always lock him up on the best corner, a best receiver. So we'll see if Deshaun does play, how they play it. But you would want – because Fulgham's killing everybody who goes up against, no one is covering Fulgham well so far. I know it sounds absurd, but no one's covered him well.
Can't be
Bradbury is a big high-priced free agent. You might as well try him.
Yeah, I will say you're right, but he's been a zone corner for most of his career, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So I don't know if he's used to shadowing and
play
he
a
has
lot
that
of man
kind of man press. Do they? Do they play the Giants play a lot of man?
They play more man than zone, I believe. Okay. But they do play some zone. Anyway.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it for their secondary. I just think that if you're the Eagles and you just mentioned what Boston Scott could do, and they're not running the ball well. Okay. The Giants are not great at linebacker. They're nowhere. They're half as good as the Ravens are at linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to throw some screens here. You might want to run.
Throw some what now?
Yeah, I know. We've never heard of them. Right? Exactly.
Well, I don't know what that is. Wow. Screen.
It's just unbelievable. Like, don't be like Peterson will leave guys on an island, but he won't throw a screen. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, he'll practice the quarterback who throws to the other quarterback who throws back to the other quarterback.
Right. Can you believe that one?
But you can't get a screen going? Like, come on.
Right, I know. And look, the wheel route, which would have Miles Sanders is still running against Cincinnati, against that linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. Boston Scott could do that stuff. And then Corey Clement, okay, let's talk about him. He's fallen off the face of the earth. Right now, he's going to be backing up. Scott.
Uh-huh.
I'll be interested to see if Scott does not get off to a good start. Do they stay with him or do they go to Clement, or do they go to whoever? Are they going to? As of Wednesday morning, they have not signed Holyfield off their practice squad. They could use his size. He's not fast at all, but he's got size.
Yeah.
Or whatever, elevate him. I'll be interested to see what happens here with their run game because, as you said, the Giants are pretty stout against the run. They're very thick up front. They're wide. So I'll be interested to see what the Eagles do here.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about defending their receivers because it sounds like Sterling Shepard could be back. They will have Darius Slay. I know Slayton got a little banged up last game, but it sounds like he's probably going to go.
Slayton he's had this foot injury for a couple weeks, and it's nagging on that touchdown catch, which is great. So we'll talk about the Giants offense right now. Yeah, that was a great throw by Daniel Jones, who only has 3 touchdown passes on the season, which is awful. Their line, okay, so let's get into this. So here's what I'm told. I'm going to go through their line through 3 people who I trust, okay?
Okay.
Let me get my notes open here. Hang on here.
You talking about their offensive line?
Yeah, we might as well because we're in the Eagles' defense.
Right, sure. So, I mean, just for context, let people know, Howard, what's the name of their first round pick? Andrew
Thomas.
Andrew Thomas was sort of benched or disciplined last week, and that's when he was splitting reps with Matt Peart. Is it or Part?
Peart. Like a pear. Peart. Yes. So anyway, he's a UConn kid, number 74. Cameron Fleming is well below average. He's a swing tackle. You don't want him starting. The Eagles will have a significant advantage there. They
Mm-hmm.
should win. Zeitler is still solid, not great. Above average guard. Nick Gates should not be starting at center. He shouldn't be their starting center, but they don't have anybody else that they feel confident in.
Nick
So he's
Gates and
playing.
Nick Gates and Matt Toth are going to be playing, or Brett Toth are going to be playing on prime time.
Gates shouldn't be playing. I was told that Fletcher Cox, number 91, should eat in this game. We'll see. He should. Fletcher had some good plays last week. Will Hernandez, parts of his game are good. Some are not so good. He's a decent player. And left tackle, obviously. Thomas, I heard it from pretty reliably that you really would rather – he was not quite there before this issue last week. He's not really ready to start, but they made a decision when Nate Solder opted out.
Yeah,
they were going to do that. Okay,
I think he should have probably started off at right tackle had Nate Solder been there at left tackle, and it probably would have been better off.
Right, and you're thinking if you're the Giants, lesser two evils playing Fleming at right, and you hope to get away with it.
Right.
There's no reason to think that the Eagles, because the Giants are a drop back quarterback offense, crush him. You don't need a blitz. They should win all night long. Vinny Curry's back. They're going to have a great rotation. The weather will be in the mid to high 60s, although humidity is what it is this time of year, but it has actually been humid. But it shouldn't matter. They're going to have a great rotation. If they don't win, these guys ought to look at themselves the next day, and it's on them because it's not a coaching issue. They're schemed up well. They got to win. They will win. I'm sure they'll win. Devontae Freeman, by the way, didn't do a bad job. He showed he could handle volume. He's never been explosive. He's just a decisive downhill runner who runs with great vision. This is fine for them. The Eagles for the most part, have a pretty good run defense. They won't struggle. Now let's get to Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He's struggling with accuracy and timing. He's a very aggressive thrower like Wentz. He's not as gifted, obviously, but he's got a good arm. He just doesn't have enough time, and they just don't have enough talent on offense. Slayton, man, he killed them last year, but remember, Darius Slay was not there.
Right.
I'm fascinated, Geoff. How do you think that they'll cover Slate?
I think they'll cover him with Darius Slay. I don't see any other, Golden Tate's an inside receiver. We know that. Yep. Sterling Shepard is an inside receiver who's had to masquerade as an outside receiver, kind of like Nelson Aguilar for a little while with the Eagles. So I don't think that there's any reason to exhaust. If the Giants were using Evan Ingram properly, then maybe you would say sometimes you put Slay on him, but they're not. Evan Ingram has not yet been much of a threat. So you put Darius Slay on Slayton and say somebody else is going to have to beat me. And here's what I think the Giants are going to do. I think the Giants they're not dumb. Jason Garrett's not dumb. He knows he's limited on the offensive line. They're going to have to put two tight ends on the line of scrimmage and run the ball with Devontae Freeman, try to set up some manageable third downs, and then on third down, try to run play action and get Daniel Jones out of the pocket and hope that he can complete some passes, and whether he's running or finding those interior receivers like like Tate or Shepard. And they can nickel and dime. They can do that. They're not very explosive outside of Slayton, but they can nickel and dime if they want to. And that'll be up to the Eagles kind of second level, I think, to be really, really good on third down. I think that's going to obviously be the biggest part of the game plan for the Eagles defense.
Yeah, Garrett is not figured out with Ingram. It's ridiculous. Get this guy going forward. He's so explosive. Garrett has not done a very good job so far. I asked a couple of people, what their opinion was. He said he's just not formationally. He's not getting these. He's not scheming to get these guys going forward and getting them open. Other than Slayton does win quite a bit. They got ball controlled last week. They didn't have the ball very much. They only had like 40 some odd snaps on offense, which is not going to get it done.
Nope.
Against Washington. They're very lucky that they won. Caden Smith is 82. He's their backup tight end. He's a kid who had to play last year when Ingram was hurt. Did a great job after getting claimed off waivers from the Niners. Did a good job there.
Stanford kid, right? Stanford
big kid, exactly. He's a big kid. Before we close this out, the Eagles matchups here, both sides of the football, are really good. Now, I do want to. I'll say this: if I'm Jason Garrett, I'm going to spread the Eagles out because if Maddox plays, I want him to show me his ankle is good. If he doesn't play, I'm going after Roby Coleman, 5'7", 0.2 of an inch. I'm sorry, I'm going after him. I get it that Golden Tate's not very big at 5'11", 6 feet, and Sterling Shepard's also not very tall. But you know what? You got an advantage. Use it. There's some tactical stuff here. Jason Garrett's got to do a better job. They should be doing way better offensively.
No, they absolutely should. I think the offensive line really hurts them. But I agree. I just don't think that Jason Garrett and Daniel Jones are the right pairing. I really, I don't. I mean, a lot of people felt that Jason Garrett didn't take advantage of Dak Prescott's athletic ability enough, getting him out of the pocket, having him run a little bit. And maybe that's the same thing with Daniel Jones, who's very athletic. I just,
Yes,
I'd
like
to see a more progressive offense. Yes, he is leading them in rushing. That's true. A little bit more progressive,
which is not good.
Line.
Yeah, which is not good. But before we close it out, if they shut down Slayton, the Giants probably won't score 10 points. They couldn't do it last year because the Eagles didn't have a quality quarter on the outside that could stop them. But I agree with you. Slay should cover Slayton. Boy, we're going to screw that up 100 times. And for the Eagles' sake, we better not be saying how well Slayton did versus Slay.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Just don't sleep on that Evan Ingram matchup, because even though he has not played well, he's kryptonite for the Eagles, who can't cover tight ends. So
6 touchdowns now. Yeah, they've given up.
Yeah, I'd be concerned about that. All right, we're going to break it down even more Thursday night, again, at Goose Island Brewhouse in Fishtown. It's going to be great. We'll start at 5 o'clock. Make sure you're catching it on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or our @InsideBirds Twitter account. You can watch it on any platform. I think YouTube's the best personally, but you do what you do. And it's going to be a great time. So now, look, let's get into the nuts and bolts here, Adam. Do our predictions, because we normally do that on Friday, but now we got to do it now. DraftKings, by the way, has the line set at 3.5, favored by the Eagles. It was 4.5. It was 4. Now it's 3.5. Yeah.
I kind of thought I had last week's game right. It sure as hell looked right after 3 quarters. As Scott Farrell told me from Sports Grid, he's like, man, talk about a backdoor cover for Philly. I go, yeah, it sure as hell didn't look like that after 3 quarters. But hey, it's a 4-quarter game. I've got it 23-10 Eagles.
23-10 Eagles. Okay. I am going to go with the Giants. I think that they are going to win.
Winning?
Yes. I think they are going to win 20-16.
Wow. Why?
I don't know how the Eagles are going to score again. With that offensive line and with no Miles Sanders and with no Zach Ertz.
Yes, that's true.
And they've played really well offensively 2 straight games. Oh, well, not fully, mostly second halves.
Yeah.
That catches up to you. If they have one guy who leaves on offense injured, especially an offensive lineman, it's going to be a nightmare for them. I'm a big believer in the ebb and flow. Just when you think you're doing well, and then you take a step back, and my gut instinct tells me the Giants are going to win this game. By the way, the Giants have lost to the Eagles 7 straight games. You know that, right?
I know.
They're not going to lose 30 straight games to the Eagles. Eventually, the law of averages is going to even out.
Well, look, they blew that game last year in Philly. That in the misty rain. But wow, that's surprising. It's funny because I don't think the Giants can score. The Eagles D line should eat. They should destroy the Giants offensive line based on people I've spoken with who really understand it in terms of kind of the matchups, and because I learned a lot talking. I was not real super excited about making calls on the Giants. I just didn't want. I'm like, I don't care. It's so bad. I was like, they're terrible. Yeah. But I learned. It's why we make these calls and everything. So,
right.
I would be very surprised if the Eagles protect, they could score 30 points. So they really can. You're right. I don't know if they could protect because the Eagles got real issues on that offensive line.
Yeah, and I mean, for those who are listening who may be mad at me for saying that, if you should feel happy, because I think overall this year I'm 2-4 picking games, right? The last 2 games I picked them to lose, they lost. That's it. But everybody in the world picked them to lose the last 2 games. So I'm not really doing very special. So, there's my record, 2-4, and I'm taking it into Thursday night here.
So am I.
All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his work on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads. Check him out on Twitter @Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.